August 1914. Europe ignites. The Great War begins, and with it, the unthinkable. A global conflict unlike any before. Empires clash, alliances falter, and Irish blood begins to spill on foreign soil. Over 200,000 Irishmen would serve in the British Army during the First World War. For many, it was a call to honour. For others, it was the only path forward. Among them, 35 would earn the Empire's highest award, the Victoria Cross. A medical officer, a man of peace, surrounded by war. Captain Noel Chevaz was not Irish by birth, but by descent and by spirit. Serving with the Royal Army Medical Corps, he refused to abandon the wounded. On the battlefield at Guillemot and again at Passchendaele, he crawled through enemy fire to pull others to safety. He was mortally wounded in 1917. Posthumously, he was awarded a second Victoria Cross, one of only 3 men ever to receive it twice. His grave is marked with both medals carved in stone, testament to a bravery few could match. At just 20 years old, William McFadzean of the Royal Irish Rifles faced a moment that would define a legacy. Preparing to go over the top on the first day of the Somme, a box of grenades slipped open. 2 pins came loose. He threw himself onto them. A heartbeat later, they exploded beneath him. His body absorbed the blast. His comrades lived. Martin Doyle defies easy classification. Born in County Wexford, he fought bravely on the Western Front as a stretcher bearer, rescuing the wounded under heavy fire in September 1918. He was awarded the Victoria Cross for conspicuous gallantry, but just a year later, Doyle joined the IRA, fighting for Ireland's freedom in the War of Independence. Hero to 2 flags, his life would be celebrated and questioned in equal measure. Flanders, the Somme, Ypres. The names echo across generations. Irish soldiers faced unspeakable horrors. Chemical gas, machine guns, and the sound of comrades falling beside them. They bled, they endured, they fought, and when all seemed lost, some stood tall. In war, valor emerges not from glory but from instinct. In the mud-soaked fields of France and Flanders, Irish soldiers answered that instinct again and again. So many men, so many names, so many stories. Each story a heartbeat echoing across the trenches of history. (1914) Europe fractured. By 1916, it was a graveyard of nations. Ireland, torn by rebellion at home, sent over 200,000 of her sons to the Empire's war. 35 of them would earn the highest honour for courage. But medals tell only part of their story. To understand Irish valour, we walk through the lives behind the bronze. Lance Corporal Michael O'Leary of Macroom, County Cork, Irish Guards, charged alone into enemy fire, captured 2 German positions and killed 8. Acclaimed in London, questioned at home, he was Ireland's first great war hero and the first to learn that fame weighs heavy. Private Robert Quake, Royal Irish Rifles. His officer, Sir Harry MacNaughton, vanished under fire. Quake searched alone 7 times into no man's land. He rescued 7 men, but never found Harry. For bravery, he received the Victoria Cross. For the friend he couldn't bring home, only silence. Captain Gerald O'Sullivan, Royal Inniskilling Fusiliers. Born in Cork, he led a bombing raid in July 1915. It succeeded, but he was killed a month later, leading another charge. He was called the Irish VC. His grave is unknown. His courage is not. Private John Condon, Royal Irish Regiment, Waterford born, long thought to be just 14 when he was killed in May 1915. Too young to vote, too young to die. But still, he lied about his age to fight. He never won a medal, but he stands for something greater. Those who gave everything before they even had a chance to begin. Private James Duffy of Gweedore, Donegal, Royal Inniskilling Fusiliers. Alone he charged under fire to save a wounded comrade 70 yards ahead. He brought him back unarmed and unbent. Heroism in heat, sand, and silence. Sergeant Frederick Hall, born in Kilkenny, raised in Winnipeg, he rushed out to save a wounded man. Shot once, then twice, he died with his arms still stretched toward the fallen. He reached for a friend, and history reached back. Second Lieutenant Edmund de Wind, 15th Battalion, Royal Irish Rifles, Comer, County Down. Wounded twice, alone for 7 hours, he held off waves of attacks with rifle and bayonet. Killed at sunset, still defending the line. He died as he lived, unshaken, unsurrendered. These are just 10 lives, 10 medals, 10 unspeakable moments made immortal. These were not statues. They were men, conflicted, courageous, and complicated. They fought for duty, for loyalty, for each other, and sometimes for causes that changed even as they bled for them. The Victoria Cross honors their courage, but it's memory that keeps it alive. A name in the dark, a medal gathering dust, a legacy written, erased, rewritten. The Irish Victoria Cross recipients stood in battle, but in history, some stood alone. Their courage unquestionable, their place in Irish memory complicated. For some, the Irish VC recipients are war heroes. For others, their stories are entangled in a question of identity. They fought for survival, for their comrades, but under the banner of a nation that ruled over their own. And when independence came, remembrance became selective. The world remembers victory, but countries remember choices. And for those Irishmen who fought under the British flag, their memory, like their medals, sometimes vanished into quiet corners. Martin Doyle was soldier and revolutionary. He was the contradiction Ireland couldn't quite place, decorated by the British Empire, then fighting against it. He was proof that loyalty, bravery, and defiance can live in the same heart. Gerald O'Sullivan, the Irish VC without a grave, a war hero of the Empire, but no resting place in Ireland. His body never recovered, his name barely whispered. Some victories fade without a funeral. Some men disappear even in remembrance. John Condon, the boy soldier, a child carrying a rifle too large for his frame, lost at 14. Long forgotten in Ireland, but his grave in Belgium is visited by strangers who never knew him, but grieve just the same. The silence lasted years. Then, slowly, the remembering began. Paving stones were laid in hometowns, medals placed behind museum glass, faces placed back into history, not as forgotten soldiers, but as men who answered war's call. Today, their stories belong not to Britain, not to Ireland, but to time itself. Because courage does not ask for a flag, it simply steps forward again and again. They fought in trenches, under torpedoes, against uncertainty. When their countries moved on, some were carried forward in memory. Others were left behind. But bravery does not age. Sacrifice does not erode. And in telling their stories, we make sure they never truly leave. A name inscribed, a medal displayed, a war survived, but not always remembered. The men who earned the Victoria Cross for Ireland did not ask for glory. They asked only to live. Some did, some didn't. But courage, once given, never fades. Ireland once sent soldiers to every corner of the British Empire. Today, it reckons with their stories, not as heroes of another nation, but as men of their own land. Their sacrifices belong neither to politics nor propaganda, but to memory itself. Some returned home with medals and applause, others returned only in name, their courage surviving beyond breath, and others never returned at all. Medals are handed down, stories are spoken, and legacies breathe between generations. What does it mean to remember a soldier, to carry his courage into a world that may never truly understand what he faced? They fought beyond borders. Their bravery was never about empire. It was about instinct, about the man beside them, about surviving one more day. Time moves forward. Landscapes shift. Generations pass. And with them, stories often disappear into the noise of new eras. But some stories, some sacrifices, must never be forgotten. The men we have spoken of in this documentary were not just soldiers. They were sons, brothers, fathers, and friends. They were poets and rebels, farmers and labourers, men of conviction and uncertainty, bound together by circumstances and courage. They fought for survival, for each other, and for reasons that history has both honoured and debated. Yet, no matter the political backdrop, one truth remains unshaken. Their bravery was real, their sacrifice was absolute, and their memory must endure. To forget these men is to erase a lesson written in blood. Wars do not exist in isolation. They shape nations, forge identities, and leave scars that linger far beyond the battlefield. The story of the Irish Victoria Cross recipients is not just a chapter in military history. It is a testament to human resilience, to duty beyond borders, and to the complexity of Irish identity itself. Many of these men fought for an empire that would later see Ireland break free. Some returned home as war heroes, others as quiet ghosts, uncertain of how they fit into a new Ireland emerging from revolution. Some, like Martin Doyle, bore two allegiances, navigating both British military service and the Irish struggle for independence. Others, like Gerald O'Sullivan, never saw home again, their bodies lost to history. For decades, Ireland's relationship with those who served under British command was conflicted. Their stories at times were buried, not because they lacked merit, but because they did not fit neatly into the narrative of nationhood. But the truth is this: courage does not belong to politics. Bravery does not require permission to exist. To understand the past is to prepare for the future. What we learn from these men, these stories of unwavering valor, goes beyond historical fact. It teaches us something profound about what it means to stand against impossible odds, about the bounds between soldiers, and about the choices made in the gravest of moments. These men were not warriors seeking glory. They were ordinary individuals placed in extraordinary circumstances, proving that courage is not dictated by rank or nationality, but by instinct and heart. We must tell their stories in full, not in fragments. Their sacrifices deserve to be remembered, not as figures of another nation's history, but as men of Ireland shaped by their homeland, bound by their experiences. Regardless of where they fought or under whose command, these men faced gunfire, artillery, gas, and death. Some died in trenches without names. Others left behind families who would never fully understand their journey. Their sacrifice demands remembrance, not hesitation. Each of these men carried home memories they could never explain, wounds both visible and hidden. Their legacy is not just in citations and ribbons, it is in the silent spaces left behind. We live in a world shaped by decisions made long ago, a world where history's echoes still influence conflicts, identities, and national narratives. The soldiers honored in this documentary remind us that bravery does not end when the war is over. It lingers in the lives touched, in the memories passed down, in the lessons that we, if we choose, can carry forward. These men were shaped by war, but they were not defined by it. They were defined by the moments where they choose courage over self-preservation, loyalty over fear, and sacrifice over retreat. These decisions, though made in the chaos of battle, speak to something far greater than military tactics. They speak to the depth of human resilience. We must promise as a generation privileged enough to learn these stories that their names will not fade. We must visit their memorials, speak their names, teach their histories, and remind the world that Ireland has always produced men of exceptional bravery, even when history did not always know where to place them. Their courage, selfless, raw, unforgettable, belongs to no single nation. It belongs to humanity itself. Because if we forget them, we forget the cost of war. If we forget them, we ignore the sacrifices made for tomorrow. If we forget them, we fail in our responsibility to honor those who gave everything. And so we remember, not just today, not just this year, we remember them always.
Step into the past and uncover the heart of Ireland. At Emerald Chronicle, we bring you hundreds of captivating documentaries exploring Irish history, myths, legends, and folklore. Our playlists guide you through Ireland's fascinating journey, from prehistoric Ireland, proto-historic and Celtic eras, and the early Christian and Viking periods, to the Anglo-Irish invasion and the lordship of Ireland.
Delve deeper into the Tudor conquest and religious conflicts, the union with Great Britain and the Great Famine, the fight for independence and the divisions of the 20th century, and Ireland's evolution into the 21st century. Best of all, we keep all our documentaries at 15 minutes or less, making it easy to explore Ireland's history, even on a busy day.
Every time you watch, you're supporting the upkeep of our channel. And when you share Emerald Chronicle, you're helping to promote Irish history and culture worldwide. We kindly ask you to like and share, and subscribe to Emerald Chronicle now. Let's keep Ireland's stories alive together.